I mean, you're spending
Hmm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't you want to know what you're buying?
Welcome back, everybody, to the closing table. We are so excited to sit down with everybody this week and go over some of the biggest real estate red flags. Corey is going to have a lot of tips, tricks, stories, I'm sure, that we're going to get into this week. So, without further ado, we're going to go over the first one, which is when a house looks phenomenal online and in pictures, it's a dream. And then you get to it in person, and Corey is like, nope. So, Corey, what is your advice in these situations and how do you handle? I'm sure it's kind of awkward or, just shocking in general when you're with a buyer and it's not what, either one of you were expecting.
Absolutely. I mean, the old saying is the photographer is an artist, right? Lots
Yep.
of times they can make it look however they want. It, as Trinity said, it looks better in pictures, right, than it does in person. So a lot of it is research, right? We've talked about this before on the mortgage side. We've talked about this before on the um, pre-setup or beginning of the process. So much so the similar with the house, right? So it's
Hmm.
finding that right property. It's going to be going out and seeing it, right? Seeing it in person, looking at, things like age, looking at different things that go into the property. You can't tell if it stinks by looking at pictures, right? And I can't tell you guys how many properties I've been where you open the door and you're like, ooh, not the one, right? So
So
you
when
can't
you
tell.
have when you have a I know that we've had this together in the past, like a relocation buyer that's coming
Mhm.
from like out of state and they literally are buying the house before actually setting foot in it. You always go to the house and do like a virtual tour and check things out yourself in person, correct?
Absolutely. So, first thing I
Hmm.
do on any house, I do not believe in going to contract on a property without seeing it. Even if
Right.
we get calls all the time from clients that are like, oh, we want to buy this. And I'm like, great. But the recipe for disaster is go under contract before anyone sees anything and they blow up and bust, right?
Right.
So, we don't want that. We want to do the work we need to do, which is go out there, take a look. What I do for our clients is we take them on a FaceTime tour, right? So literally
Hmm.
like they're there, walking them through the property, showing them every part, cracks, issues, colors, stains, you name it, that just things you're not going to see from pictures. I mean, if you're going to put a picture of something up, you're not going to take the worst picture of the worst area of your house.
Yep.
You're going to take the best ones, right? So
Hmm.
again, it's all about coverage, and that goes into knowledge as well, because if your agent doesn't know anything about construction, they see cracks, they see issues in the floor, or, one thing I've seen in houses, especially on the pier and beam homes, you could take an RC car and go from one end all the way to the other one, and it doesn't stop. Obviously, there's something there. So,
Yes.
knowledge is such a key part in all of it, especially even in that, and walking through the house, knowing what's positive and not, knowing what could potentially be costs to you as well.
How do you advise clients with homes that have been sitting on the market for a while? Do they typically automatically assume it's either A, overpriced, B, there's issues, or is it sometimes C, a difficult seller? Or what is your advice in those situations? And how do you advise clients when that's happening or when they're assuming the worst? And what do you do to basically get to the bottom of what the situation is?
So, what we do in a situation like that is more of the research, right? So,
Uh
more
huh.
days on market equals more research, which I know isn't necessarily fair to a house because contributing factors are number one, price point, right?
Hmm.
So, if the house is seven figures, does it sit on the market longer maybe than a house that's
For sure.
200,000?
Hmm.
So that's one of the key factors there. Some of it
Hmm.
also is area, right? So depending on where it is it on a lake? Is it on a golf course?
Right.
Things like that. And
Hmm.
then just like Trinity said, is it a seller issue? Is it they walked in and like we said, the artist did a great job, which is a photographer, and
Yep.
it looks better in pictures? Or and I kind of make a joke about that, but it is the catfish, right?
Hmm.
You
I mean,
go
we've
out there
both
and
bought houses before, and I
for
love my
sure.
house, but and I'm sure I know you do too, but the pictures were a lot better than the reality. They
Exactly,
always are, you
exactly.
know?
Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure. You look at it after you walk through and you're like, I liked the house, but man, I
Yep.
really like this one, right? So,
Yes. Yep.
and a lot of that is the research, right? Some of it may be floodplain. So researching if
True.
you're in floodplain, which affects many different things. Number one, flood
Yes.
insurance, which is a mortgage thing, could kick you out of debt to income
And
capability.
agents, a lot of listing agents don't do that. They will not
Right.
advertise that it's in a flood zone.
Right. So we believe in being upfront, right? We're going
Hmm.
to tell you A to Z, everything that is or isn't. Obviously, we're not inspectors, we're not builders, we're not all of those things, we're not attorneys.
Hmm.
But to the best of our abilities, with our experience, we're going to help lead you through that process and through the property. And I slowly go through a house when I do. So you understand what you're getting. I mean, you're spending
Hmm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't you want to know what you're buying?
For sure. For sure. So, what is on from your experience on the list side? What is the longest you've had a house sit, and what was, in your opinion, the main reason why it sat for that long?
So I've had some that have sat a while, and some of that comes down to a seller, right? I've
Hmm.
had sellers that move out, they move out of state, they stop mowing the grass, they turn the power off,
Yeah.
they, do everything you tell them not to do, possibly. And then they wonder why it didn't sell. Well,
Hmm.
obviously, presentation is so much in this business, and even on the listing side. And different capabilities that we have, and obviously Trinity being our partner in it as well, is having financing options for people that may not be our personal clients, right?
Hmm.
There's been many of
Right.
times in our transactions where Trinity is assisting the buyer on a listing we have.
Yep.
So it is that knowledge to help the sellers accommodate, get them off the market as soon as we can,
Hmm.
and put every house and every buyer in the best position possible to have success.
For sure. For sure. When should a buyer cut ties immediately with the house due to foundation issues?
I think that goes into what I think is the most important thing, right?
Hmm.
Some people as agents don't like option periods and they don't like inspections.
Right. Right.
Myself, as somebody that wants people to be in a home forever and wants them to
Hmm.
understand what they're buying, it's the first thing I tell everybody, right?
Hmm.
Spend the money for the option period, spend the money for the inspection, know the
It's worth it.
nuts for sure. You're going to know the nuts and bolts of what you're
Yep.
buying. And
Hmm.
granted, and those are scary, right? Because you get an inspection. Trinity, you got one on the houses you've bought.
Yep.
Same thing for
Hmm.
myself.
Of
And
course.
even as agents, even as seasoned, loan officers like Trinity, we
Hmm.
even get them and we're like, whoa,
Yeah,
okay,
for
maybe this
sure.
wasn't exactly what I
Yeah.
expected.
Well, you're
So
dissecting the house. You're going to find a problem
exactly,
when you're
exactly.
looking that heavily, so absolutely, for
Right.
sure.
So foundation wise, when they do that inspection, they're going to go out and measure it, right? They're going to measure
Hmm.
all the areas in the house, the rooms, everything like that. And they're making sure that there's not a big differential between one part of the house and the other. That's obviously what's
Hmm.
going to, because I guess to quickly do a little deal, a foundation is going to move. It's ground, right? So it's
Hmm.
sitting on something that flexes, which is going to make the foundation flex. The
Hmm.
difference is, and a little bit more in depth, is there's piers and beams and things like that in a slab foundation.
Yep.
Whereas
Yep.
in a pier and beam house, it's just sometimes concrete blocks. That's the only thing
Hmm.
holding that up in the air. Also, which gives the ability with, if you think about it, that much weight sitting on that little bit of a surface, it's going to be more prone to move quicker
Right.
than a slab foundation.
Right.
Now, depending on soil type, it could be a little bit different. So, and
Hmm.
not to make this too in depth, the when you see cracks, you see movement, you see things like that on the outside of the house, maybe on the brick, maybe you
Yep.
see it in the sheetrock on the in the house, or you
Hmm.
see a big lump in the floor, which a lot of agents just like to kind of walk around and not tell anybody about. Um, those are big issues, right? And potentially a foundation issue could be a detriment to a house
Yeah,
sometimes.
absolutely a deal
And
breaker. Hmm.
right. Or it could be 20, 30, 40, $50,000 that you're going to spend to get it back. And not only that, once you get the foundation back where it needs to be, now you have to deal with the structural issues that happen from the movement of getting the house level.
Yep. And that's very pricey.
Yes,
Very,
exactly.
very. We One week we'll definitely have Trey on, our inspector, so he can come on and talk about all of these things because these foundation is huge.
Absolutely.
Arguably one of the biggest deals to your
Right.
purchase.
The funny thing is people are so, I always laugh a little bit, but people are so big on their monthly payment. They're so big on the
Right.
budget, the interest rate, the cost, but they don't understand everything else that goes into it,
That comes
right? And
with home
there's some
ownership.
things
Hmm.
with home ownership that could sneak up and definitely,
Bite you
give
in
you
the
a
butt.
bad day for
Yep,
sure.
for sure. For
So
sure.
that's what we try to eliminate is all of those capabilities. But as Trinity said, Trey someday will be on here as well
Yes.
to go through it with everybody far more in depth. He's
Amazing.
a professional at it. Obviously, we are not, but we've been through enough that we have some knowledge on it too.
Yes, yes. So I know you kind of brought up sellers, trying to hide stuff here and there. What is, in your experience, what is the craziest thing that a seller has ever tried or attempted to hide on a listing that you took a buyer to and you were like, nope?
So I think one of the biggest things are a house either is city water, city sewer, or it's septic well, or it's city water and well.
Yes, I see that a lot on my side too,
Mhm.
even. That's a
So I
big
had a
one.
client that were looking through the house, and the house was nice, but outside there was a hose going from the septic to an outside drain with a pump that was pumping the stuff out of there. So
Oh,
issue
Lord.
is know what you're getting. Was nothing on the disclosures about it, but that's why experience is so important because I was able to
Very.
tell those clients a huge red flag, right? We have a hose in your septic. That's not probably a good thing.
Yeah, that's not
And
normal.
no, exactly. And if this is the right house, obviously that's one key thing we're going to tell the inspector to figure out is what is
Mhm.
wrong with it. Because at the end of the
Right.
day, it's just like a car. You see it on the outside, it's pretty. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, when the mechanic takes a look at the inside and the engine and everything,
It's a different
it,
story.
it's a different story. Same with the house.
Absolutely. Before we go into our next red flag, if you guys want to see more videos like this, more content covering things that can be avoided, just past, I guess, horror stories that Corey and I have both been through, be sure to like and subscribe so we can keep on creating some content that is leveraged more towards what you want to see and learn about. Our next red flag is going to be buyers who skip inspections. I know, Corey, you've already made it very clear. We do not suggest that in
No,
any circumstance. But give some real examples here where these inspections have saved your buyers from purchasing a, polished turd, so to
for sure,
speak.
for sure. So a lot of times, and like I said, I'm going to go in a couple things to give you examples to make it make sense first. But
Hmm.
I had a buyer, or I had two buyers. That was two sisters that bought a home, and the house looked great. Everything in it was nice. They decided
Hmm.
they weren't going to do an inspection. It was hot. Obviously, we're in Texas, so welcome to 100 degrees in the
Yep.
summer.
Yep.
And they went a day after to move into their house, and the AC didn't work.
Oh,
Right. So they
oh
didn't want one,
no.
but at that point, they're on the hook.
That could have been avoided.
So
Hmm.
potentially could have been horrible. Luckily, I have some good contacts that went over and helped him out and figured out the problem. We got him back into business, but it
Hmm.
could have been a roof leak. It could have been a huge thing. It could have potentially been something to cost them thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I have a client right now that bought a house and it had mold issues no one disclosed, and they're currently not living in it, and
Ugh.
they're in a huge legal battle as we speak that's went on for a long time and still has no settlement. So yes,
Mm,
not getting with professionals and people that know what they're doing could cost you everything. I
yeah,
mean, it's hundreds
mold.
of thousands of dollars.
That is terrible. I cannot
Yeah,
even imagine
yeah,
mold.
my heart goes
Oh,
out to them. I mean, literally the wife
yes.
got sick. It's been a horrible.
Oh, and that's one of side note, that's just like that's something that slowly sneaks up on you and you don't know
Yeah,
the issue until you've literally discovered the black mold that you've been living in. Yeah. Oh, that's definitely worst example I think that you
for
could have.
sure, for sure, for
Oh
sure.
man. So, this is different from inspections and I guess just issues pertaining only to the actual physical condition of the home. But so for investors that are solely looking at the purchase price, what is the biggest mistake that they can make in doing that? What should they be focusing on more than just the purchase price? Is it, potential revenue from future rental income? What do you suggest in those circumstances?
It's going to be the goal of the income, like you said. Is it a
Mm-hmm.
rental? If it's a
Yep.
rental, sometimes you're going to pay a little bit more to be in a better market or in a higher
Yep.
rental per month basis would be a better way of saying it, calculation. So it's going to cost you more.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's literally ROI, return on investment. So that flip mentality, how much am I going to have to put in versus how much is
Right.
it? Not just, I want to spend $200,000 today on a house and all of a sudden it's going to fall from the sky and make
Yep.
me a bunch of money. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of factors that go into it. Square footage price, area, what the house looks like, how much they're going to have to put into it. I call it a lipstick on a pig mentality, right?
Uh-huh.
So they
Yep.
just make it pretty by picture again, but in reality, when they go in and look at it, it's not that, which doesn't help the seller any, doesn't help the
Mm-hmm.
buyer any because it's busting over and over and over again on an inspection. So at the
Yep.
end of the day, do a realistic budget when you're shopping. Know what you're looking for, why you're looking for it. Use a professional. Granted, there's a lot of money to be made in real estate, and
For
especially on the
sure.
investment side. It's one of the
Mm-hmm.
number one drivers in the country. So,
Yep.
take advantage of it and utilize it, but do it with someone that's done it before and knows what they're doing and can
For
lead you and
sure.
help you to make sure your money makes money, not your money loses.
Right. And so that actually leads right into my next one. So to speak of just agents in general, what do you suggest that buyers look for when they are shopping realtors? Is it certain qualities? Is it experience? What is the biggest piece of advice that you could give somebody that is shopping agents?
I think the biggest advice I would give them is don't play with it. Don't act like it's someone just to show you a house. It's far more than that. So
Right.
research the client, research them, research what they do, research what's important to them, right? And the
Hmm.
reason I'm saying that is you can tell if somebody's there to collect a check
For
or
sure.
if they're there to make sure you're getting into the best investment that you can.
Hmm.
If they have knowledge, like everybody's got to start somewhere. I know in other
Hmm.
ones I've said if you've done 10 deals or 20 deals or 30 or 40, it's just not as much experience as someone that's done far more. And I get people have to start somewhere, but at the end of the day, how much risk? This is a risk business, right?
Hmm.
You're buying something with
100%.
a risk. There's no guarantee. So in that, mitigate your risk by maximizing um your people, maximizing the people that work with you, your
For
agent, your
sure.
mortgage loan officer, your
Your
inspector.
entire team, title
Yes,
company, all of
everyone,
it.
right?
Hmm.
Everybody thinks
Yep.
this thing just comes to close. It doesn't. There's so many
Hmm.
things and intricate pieces. Maybe
Yep.
there's a lien on title. Does
Yep.
your agent know that?
Hmm.
Maybe it's flood. Maybe it's, all of these different things that can play into part. Maybe you want to park your camper in the driveway, but the agent didn't tell you it's against the HOA
HOA.
restrictions,
Yep. Yep.
right?
That's
So
a big one. A lot of
for
agents
sure.
don't look into HOA restrictions before they're actually under contract, and it can be a big oh shit moment.
For
100%.
sure. And we
Mhm.
just talked about investment capabilities. If you were going to buy an HOA, you're not going to buy an HOA, but if you
Nope.
might be buying an Airbnb instead,
Mhm.
you're going to want to make sure that HOA allows for them.
Right.
Otherwise, you bought a house that you can't do anything with. So
Right.
it is so much about experience. It is about doing it the right way, giving people um, the capabilities and knowledge. And that's one thing I truly respect about Trinity
Mhm.
and our team is we're here to help you win. We're not
Mhm.
here to collect a check. We have enough
Right.
experience. We both sold enough deals. We're not scraping by to make dinner
Yeah.
tonight, right? We're going to be
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
But our thrive and our goal is to see our clients over and over and over sending us pictures of their family and
Yep.
the great things that have happened in their life because of what we did. That's why we do what
Mhm.
we do.
I think that is such a big, I mean, it sounds silly and it sounds like we're being funny, but we're really not. But there is such a big difference between an agent who is scraping by and just trying to make it versus an agent who doesn't necessarily, they don't need the money
Right.
because the one that is scraping by and is doing anything to get this deal done, they're not looking into the HOA. They're not looking into, they might have advised to not even get an inspection. Trust me, I've worked
Right.
with a, I can think of one right now off the top of my head of that is just like that, and they're just
Right.
so hungry to eat, literally eat and feed their family, that they are just pushing and pushing and pushing just to get the deal to the closing table, and they're not checking all the cracks and crevices and doing all the homework that should be done to ensure that this investment, because you're right, it's a risk, but that this investment is safe and that
Right.
there's not going to be, a huge oh shit moment after closing or a hiccup or anything like that. I
Well,
agree.
and that is such a big point. Like
It
if you don't
is.
do the research and if somebody's in need, right? And I'm first person to say, like, we all started somewhere. We all got
Right.
to the point we needed to what we needed. But sometimes, and someone can have a good heart and good
Mhm.
intentions, but at the end of the day, you're the one as the buyer holding the bag, right? So if someone isn't showing you everything, isn't explaining everything into you, and you don't know everything that goes into making that happen, it could potentially be your detriment,
Yep.
right? They're overselling, you bought it a different way, you got a loan officer that didn't know what they were talking about, put you in an arm that adjusted you could now not afford. Now you're in
Mhm.
foreclosure. Trinity and I are okay saying no. That's the difference with
Yes.
us,
Yep.
right? We'll tell you no. It doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Why would you do it?
Mhm. Right.
We're not chasing a check, right? We're chasing freedom. We're chasing giving clients the opportunity to obtain it through real estate, through mortgages, through special financing capabilities, not pushing people in to buy something just to buy something.
Right, right. I like that because it leads into our last red flag, lenders who don't communicate. I know that you've dealt with this in the past on the buy and list side, but that also can be a huge deal killer because waiting until the last minute, not addressing issues that come up during the upfront pre-approval, that can be a huge oh shit moment and that can kill a deal right away.
For sure.
And that is one of the things that Corey and I don't have problems often, but of course they do come up. And when we have an issue, Corey is the either first person I call or the second person I call after I've spoken with the buyer. I address issues immediately so that we can get a game plan together. And I'll call Corey most of the time first so that we can think and collaborate and get a solution together to still make it work. Like we talked about last episode with the buyer who took out a loan to pay his earnest money.
Yep.
Corey and I were on the phone, for probably a week. Like, okay, we can try this, and it worked out, and we still closed. But having a lender who can communicate efficiently and quickly, and not be scared to nip it in the butt, that
Right.
is so important. You don't want a little I'm scared to have these conversations, so I'm just going to put it off and push it back and push it back. That's what you do not want.
Right. And the other thing is, I call it finger cross close, right? So
Yep.
there's a lot of lenders out there that love to just send a good faith estimate or documents, and they'll tell you one thing, but you get the fine print and it isn't what they said it was, right? And
Mhm.
that's one thing to me. I like people to know. Trinity likes people to know everything up front. Then you're not going to know what your rate is. You're going to know what your
Mhm.
closing costs are, and you're
Yep.
going to know what the best situation is for you. Maybe it's more down, maybe it's less down, maybe it's
Mhm.
this rate versus this rate, maybe it's
Or
putting
this
yourself in.
program or instead of
For
this
sure.
program. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we don't believe in a surprise at closing. Closing
Nope.
should be the easy, get
It's the
excited.
best day of the entire
Absolutely.
transaction.
And I've
Mhm.
lived, obviously, seeing the mortgage industry as long as I have, seeing the real estate industry. I've seen so many deals where agents and lenders are walking into the closing deal table being like, I hope this closes.
Yep.
That's the
Mhm.
finger cross close, right?
Yep.
That's not
Yep.
the way you want to buy a house. You want to buy with
Mhm.
full security, full knowledge, knowing exactly who you're buying with and exactly what you're getting, not just a hope and a prayer, right?
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. Fantastic. So for our rapid fire last questions I want to throw at you, Corey.
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind for each topic. What is the biggest buyer red flag?
I think the biggest buyer red flag is a push. Usually,
Hmm.
when they're pushing too hard, there's an issue, if that
Yep.
makes sense.
Might
I
be
need
an
to do this. We
inability to
need to do this.
repay.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yep.
No, we're going under contract right now. I don't have
Yep.
pre approval. Don't worry. I have the credit. Don't worry. It'll be fine, right? Every time somebody tells me not to worry, my anxiety goes up 100 points, right?
Yep.
So, um, it's one of those things, and as does Trinity's, right? So one thing that
Hmm.
we've learned is just we've said this in previous ones, but I want to say it again because it is so important. Tell us everything,
Everything.
right?
Yep.
The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent doesn't matter. Even if it pertains to us, doesn't pertain to us,
Yep.
tell us, because
Yep.
that's what's going to help you get what you want. And at the end of the day, that's the purchase and the closing that you're wanting to obtain.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. Agreed. So reverse side seller. What is the biggest seller red flag?
I think the biggest seller red flag is, and I've actually had this happen before, is we have the dishonest people, right? They're really not the seller. They
Yep.
say they're selling a property and they don't even own it, right?
Yep.
So that's why it's
Title comes in
important.
and we're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Or somebody walks into your office, they're like, "I'm Bob." I'm like, "No, you're not.
Yep.
That's Bob."
Yep.
But
Yep.
anyways, at the end of the day, it's having a good team, and that's what we have with our title company capabilities. We're
Hmm.
researching, making sure that everything we're doing is to the best. I mean, there's a reason they call us first class, right? We're going to roll out the red carpet and
Yep.
make sure that we're giving you the best service and the best knowledge and the people that have the best capabilities in the industry.
Right. Right. So, what is the biggest investor red flag? So, it could be pertaining to the actual buyer themselves, or it could be to an investment property red flag.
I think a lot of it's hidden details, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of
For
investment
sure.
property, especially in the lower budget capabilities, so $200,000 and less as an investment, a lot of times are usually a lot more times than not a starter investor, right? And they
Hmm.
don't know what to look for, what to, budget for. So they're kind of going in this thing and in this glory of I'm going to be a real estate investor when
A little
instead,
over their head.
yes, exactly. It's just more than they
Hmm.
thought. They get into it and it takes
Yep.
something that could be an amazing deal and makes it nothing but a stress pill. And people, they call me after a while and if they're not even clients of mine. They're like, Corey, get me out. And I'm like,
Hmm.
out of what? And they're like, here's what I did, and can you help
Yep.
me get out of this mess and make it something positive?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
just speed.
Right. So with this could be a listing agent or it could be speaking up to somebody directly who's again shopping for agents. What is the biggest red flag in any agent in your opinion?
Get to know them, right?
Mhm.
Heart is the biggest thing I would say, right?
Heart.
Because if
Mhm.
their heart is not good, and you can tell very, very
You can.
quickly, right?
Mhm.
In a quick
Mhm.
conversation with someone, you can see if they're there for you or them, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I would say
Kind of goes back
that's,
to what we were talking about,
yeah,
you know, if they're too hungry, if they're too pushy, that in my opinion, that's the biggest red flag. That's not good for you. This is your representation. You don't want somebody that is solely chasing a paycheck
right.
just so that they can drive you to a showing and put food on their table afterwards. That's what you do not want.
Exactly. And on both sides, whether it be in the real estate side or the mortgage side, right? When I'm
Mhm.
getting in calls over and over and over and
Yep.
everybody's like, "We love Trinity. She's so amazing. She's helped us. She's done all of this stuff. She answers the phone." I mean, I guess I'm going to
Mhm.
say that too, right? Knowing that your problems are solved on your time, not theirs, right? So if an
Right.
agent doesn't, or a mortgage lender either, isn't answering their
A
phone
big
after
one.
5 o'clock, maybe you work till five, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe
Yeah.
on Saturdays when you're purchasing the house or Sunday. I can tell you,
Mhm.
for example, I know Trinity and I both, not only
Mhm.
one time, many times, been on the phone with clients we into the wee hours of the morning
Oh, yeah.
or late hours of the night,
Yep.
weekends, days, anytime we make ourselves available so that anxiety
Mhm.
that could grow to this.
Is much, much smaller. I was on the phone
Exactly.
with someone on our team at 9 p.m. last night, and then 9 p.m. last week too. And it's like you have to make yourself available because you have to,
Exactly.
like I said, address it immediately. That's so, 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 so important when it
And
comes to
that's where the
buying a
heart comes
home.
into this business.
For sure.
If
For
you're willing
sure.
to take that passion and whatever and that drive and ability to help others and do that,
Yep.
and sometimes we have families, right? So sometimes it's, taking that call even if you are doing something else, it matters to
Yep.
us.
If you have any questions about buying or selling real estate in Texas, be sure to reach out to us, like, comment, and subscribe. And our contact information will be in the link in the description. We'll see you guys next
We'll see
week.
you next week.